Well, update 2.63 is almost here, and my goodness, this is a big package. Got a lot to cover, so we're gonna get right into it, talking about the Evil Forest. So one thing you know about the Evil Forest is you got that one NPC you gotta talk to him, and you gotta bring that scalp in order to get in. Well, that's not gonna be the case anymore. It sounds like it's going to have multiple access points. Also, the maze aspect of it, where you got several dead ends that you can run into, and Kama said it's going to be a whole lot easier to navigate now. Another thing they pointed out is that the size of the area is going to reduce some, which is going to expand the area of the Coalax, the Dragons, and a Machna. They even said there's going to be a small special area dedicated for the All Hallowen event. If you are familiar with the Emerald Dofus questline, you know that Dark Vlad is in there for a little bit at the beginning, then he leaves to find his memories while leaving Hell Mina behind to take care of the Evil Forest. Well, they're really going to start leaning into that as part of the story that's going to be associated with the Evil Forest. The Evil Forest is going to have new quests, a new level 150 dungeon, as well as 2 new sets that can be crafted. A level 148 Hell Mina set, which is designed for fire damage and pushback damage, and a level 146 Molter set for healing and hindering it. Next up, we got the Ochre Dofus, a big hot topic for a while now. They said the Arc Monster respawn time now is based upon the server population. So the bigger the population, the faster they will respawn. Funny thing is, they said this has actually been implemented for the last several months. They wanted to test it without saying anything, just to see how it would affect the markets. So that was sneaky of Ankama, and personally, kind of like it. The soul capture spell is also being modified in a couple ways. One, it will have a critical failure attribute to it now. So if you try to use a stone that's not appropriate for the size that you're trying to capture, it'll fail. Also, the spell will be deactivated unless you have a soul stone on. If you are part of that group that's helping in the Arc Monster fight, but you are not trying to capture it, there's going to be a new resource that has a 100% drop rate called the Divine Thingy. Now, they said it has a 100% drop rate if they successfully capture the Arc. Now, if somebody tries to fight an Arc group and they do not capture it, it will immediately respawn somewhere else within the map boundaries of that particular Arc. These new Divine Thingies, I feel funny every time I say it. So you can then take these new Divine Thingies up to Odomai's house, and there'll be an NPC there that you can exchange for something that I think was called a clone box, I think is how it's pronounced. Well, now you can select the box associated with the step that you are trying to get, if I'm understanding this correctly. I might be off a little bit, but we'll know for sure as this begins to roll out. But then you can randomly roll one of the Arc monsters that's on the step associated with the size of the clone box that you got, so that you can capture that Arc and proceed with that step. Or maybe you can go sell it if it's in the Soul Stone, I would imagine. They also said there's going to be an actual full quest line story now associated with the Ochre Dofus. And even if you've already completed the whole process and gotten your Ochre Dofus, you can still go through this quest line. I don't know if that means you get another one. It'd be kind of cool if you did, but it's nice to know that it has a story to it now. They said the ultimate goal of revamping the Ochre Dofus was not to make it easier, but to make it more fair. And I think they did a good job of that by making it to where if you're not the one capturing it, you still get something that then you could go help yourself capture, maybe an Arc on the step that you're looking for. So you guys can be at 2 different steps. You're helping them capture the one they need, and then you're also getting a resource that you can go try to get the one that you need. It's a win-win. We all like win-wins, right? Quick note on the Goblins. These little guys are finally getting some loving as well. They're getting a full monster family now. They look incredible, as well as their own level 40 dungeon and a 4-piece level 36 armor set. Iops and Inus are basically getting more of a buff. Ekaflips and Uginax are getting more of a nerf. With the Iop class, they really tried to do some revamping to the different elemental trees of that class. Focused a lot on water and fire. Erosion, pushback, and taking aspects were what they really pointed out as a point of focus. They've changed some spells. They've rearranged when you acquire some of those spells. With the Inu class, Ankama said that the biggest weakness there are the different elemental spells. They said each element now has an equal number of spells, and they really tried to focus and hone in on the reduction aspects of this class. Agility is going to be AP reduction focused, chance is still going to be MP reduction focused, strength is going to be range reduction focused, and intelligence is going to be focused on unbewitching and healing. They did say some of the spells also are going to be exactly the same, but they've been renamed to something a little more accurate to what the spell actually does. So with the Ekaflip, the Meow Witch and Heads and Tails are getting a range modification. That's the nerf that's supposed to be happening there. And for Oogie, they're taking a slight nerf to their tanking abilities. Now that's a very concise version of what was going on with those classes, and they did talk a little bit more about some of the other classes that are getting some slight adjustments. I'll try to remember to include the link to the dev blog in the description, so after this, if you want to know more specifics about that, you can zip over there really easy and see it. All the level 100 to 150 gear bonus sets have been looked at and evaluated. They said this was done in order to bring back some of the usefulness of a lot of the gear that was in that level range, which I can definitely definitely agree with that. There's a lot of levels through there. I just continue to just use my old stuff because there's nothing that's a really big jump until you get up to the much higher levels. So I'm glad they were looking over that. They also said there are some PVM monsters that are being adjusted that were either too easy or too hard, or being exploited. And Cat's Eye was one of them that came up specifically in the list. They're adding 4 new teleportation potions. I believe are going to be to divine dimensions, and the 5th one is going to be to take you straight to Odomai's house, which will be fantastic if you're working on that Ochre Dofus. They said treasure hunting is also going to get a revamp. Pandala, Banta, and Brockmar are being added back into the treasure hunting pool, and they said all clues are being replaced. Now, I don't know if that means like all clues in all of treasure hunting, or if they just mean for those 3 areas. Not exactly sure. My goodness, there is a lot that's going to be happening with the guilds with this update. First thing that's being changed is there's going to now be a guild chest that is going to be located inside of all banks. Now, the guild chest will be accessible by all guild members as long as you're subscribed. There will be 100 slots available, and you cannot put commas in it. It's strictly for resources. I would imagine gear and things like that can go in there. Also, the transfer all button won't be in there, so you don't have to worry about somebody going in there and quickly trying to zap out of there with everything. In addition to this, there will be rights that can be assigned to the guild chest. So you can have it to where guild members can only view what's in there, only deposit to the guild chest, or they can also make withdrawals. And you can adjust those as the guild leader, which is so cool. Now, the guild bulletin, which is currently something right there at the beginning that can only be affected by the leader or second in commands, that is being renamed to the guild information. And the guild message, which is the next tab over where everybody could read what was being announced there, it's now being changed to guild announcements. Makes kind of sense. There will now also be a recent activity tab available for people to see kind of the latest 50 things that have happened with the guild. So maybe people joining the guild, leaving the guild, rank adjustments, or promotions. It'll all be tracked in that log. There will also be a notes section for every guild member to be able to add something of their own. So perhaps you have a profession that you're trying to work on, you could put a note in there. If you got a certain quest maybe that you're trying to work towards and you're stuck on a certain step, you could put a note right there. People can read it, and it's a way of kind of communicating with people without having to actually communicate with people. A little more convenient to have a note there and people can check it at their leisure versus you just spamming the chat trying to find somebody to go do a thing. So rights and ranks also got a huge overhaul, and I'm so excited for this. No longer do you have to go to every member, bring them in there, check which boxes they have access to, assign their title, save that person, and move on to the next one. Now you can build what are called guild ranks, and you can have up to 30 of these in there, each one customized with a different logo, icon, a different name that you get to come up with. In these ranks that you get to assign what rights exactly go with that rank. So now when somebody moves up the ranks or somebody joins and you want them to have these set of rights, you just assign them that rank, and then whatever tabs you've allowed that person have automatically gets assigned to that person. They also said that there are 170 new guild emblems available for creating those logos and flags. I believe the beta for this goes live on March 9th, so if you want to hop in there and check some of these out for yourself, you can. So I hope that was helpful. If you haven't already and you wouldn't mind smacking that like button, I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, be safe. I'll see you on the next one.